The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, you've watched her on My 9 News, and now she is right here on our very set. We give you an in-depth discussion with My 9 News anchor Brenda Blackman, as well as what she is doing off the set. On the screen and off the screen, I should say, is our conversation with Brenda Blackman right here on Perspectives.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective, which shines a light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective?
Well, we've seen her for 23 years on My 9 News, and she's been the anchor. Not only has she been the anchor, but she has really been a staple in the New Jersey community as well as the tri-state area. Her name, Brenda Blackman. She's no stranger. She's our guest here on Perspectives, and we're glad to have her here with us. And Brenda, good to have you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm a very nervous guest. I'm not used to sitting on this side of the set.
I know, but we're going to work it out. We're going to work it out.
Okay.
So how you been doing?
I've been doing great. In fact, I've been busier than I thought I would be. I'm still producing a special. Fox's and My 9 are going to put on a series of specials on New Jersey business entrepreneurs. So I'm going to be hosting those, and it's always interesting finding out about people in business, especially unique entrepreneurs who have been just at it and working hard and making some fabulous strides in the working world. So that's fun.
So you spent about 23 years, My 9. Give us a little bit about this, because in this career, longevity is not always there for people. You've had the opportunity to have 23 years in the business before things changed. What would you say was the key to longevity for you?
I always tell people, especially when talking to colleagues and friends over the years, I say, I have managed to stay below the radar. And I guess I've sort of done that by not being allowed in some respects to cover some of the major things all of the time. And oftentimes I've really had to fight for those things. But at the same time, not being a diva, I've never done that. So therefore, I haven't been the one always saying I have to be out front. But at the same time, I've managed to fight battles, I think, for young people, and that I've always wanted to teach young people, and I've had the opportunity to do that. But by doing that, it's also meant that I haven't been able to do other things. So I preferred doing part-time teaching in the mornings. So therefore, they knew they couldn't call me up in the mornings and say, we have a story, because they knew that I was doing adjunct teaching at one of the
While
universities.
you were still on the air?
While I was still on the air. There was also a time that my daughter was quite ill and really in medical crisis, so I had the time to take care of her and still be on the air. There was a time that I have had other challenges, and opportunities as well. But I did get a chance to go to Rome and cover the Pope's funeral. I had a chance to cover 2 presidential inaugurations, Presidents Bush as well as President Obama. So there have been big stories, and there have been big stories that I missed because I was, say, on vacation, did not call in from where I was, and so missed opportunities, but grand opportunities, and I think nothing that I was not in place for that I should have been, that was, I think there's a reason and a season for everything, and I have loved all 23 years.
Looking at journalism now as opposed to 23 years ago, obviously the lens has changed quite dramatically. What would you say are some of the dramatic shifts that you can see just even in watching news? Because the way we cover news now, the way we see news now is a whole lot different than before. What would you say are some of the major shifts, if you will?
Well, the writing to me is just one of the biggest changes. There was a time when you wrote good grammar. Now writing has been what I call dumbed down, and I don't think that's necessarily the best way. For instance, even in education, nowadays children are not taught to write. They no longer have to learn how to write their names. A click of a button and the computer does it for you. But at the same time, if you don't know how to write, you are left out of that process when the computer goes down. You're not the person who does the signature on important documents. And if you're not a part of that important process, then what happens? There was an editor who told me when I first went into the editing booth early on when I started, he said, do you know that when we come to this country, we're told to watch the news? That is how we learn the language. Now, when people watch the news, if that's how they learn the language, then we're all in trouble because, you know, if they're listening to us saying, what's up? You know, if that's how we start off a newscast, or if the tosses are like, well, Darren, you know, what's up next? And, you know, we're going to go to, you know, rather than, you know, when the language is just all stirred up and jumbled into words that we don't understand, words that we cannot explain to our children, when words that are insulting are allowed, words that are hurtful are allowed, and then we try and teach our children, you shouldn't use these words, you shouldn't use words of hate. And yet in the pictures we use on television now, we see symbols of hate. So much counter and contradiction.
Are you bothered at all by the amount of blood and guts that we show on news these days? Does it freak you out, first of all?
You know, you may be surprised to know that since I have been out of news, and it's only been a little over a month, I can truthfully say I seldom, if ever, watch the news. To me, it is terribly depressing. I would, there's one minister in particular who always says, don't start your day out watching the news. And I know for a news person to say that, it must be awful. But my personal example is, when I first moved here, my daughter was quite young. She was 4 years old. Her birthday, she turned 4 when we moved here. And I remember her coming up and saying, Mommy, what does rape mean? And she was nearly in tears, and she said, I heard them talking about this little girl who got raped, and it sounded so sad. And I thought, oh my God, what are you listening to? What? And I realized the TV was on. It was an automatic. And her response to that was also automatic. And we don't realize what our children are exposed to, the kind of pain they listen to and becomes a part of their regular lives. And then we wonder, why is it they are reacting the way they do? Why is it that they do harmful things, and that it's no big deal when things happen in their community? They're exposed to it. We expose it to them all the time in the news. And it's no big deal to them because they see it, they hear it all the time.
I want to come back after the break. I want to talk about the pain that you and your child was exposed to and the things that you've been able to overcome and where you are right now. So let's talk a little bit with Brenda Brockman when we return. Take a quick break right here on Perspectives. We'll continue our conversation. She'll let us know a little bit about her foundation and what she's really working to help and promote. We'll explain this in a few seconds. Stay with us.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book can be the most lovely. Helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
And we're back here. We're continuing our conversation with television, I can say legend, right? Legend, right? Broadcast television legend in the tri-state area, Miss Blenda Blackman. And yes, she is not only on the air, but off the air. She does some tremendous things as well. And I know that, you know, for you, one of the things that's just very near and dear to your heart is the Lupus Foundation and the work with lupus. And you had to find out about lupus in a more personal way.
Well, there's a difference in the Lupus Foundation and the Alliance for Lupus Research, and there's also the SLE Foundation. There are lots of groups associated with lupus. I get a chance to, well, first of all, I started the Kelly Fund for Lupus because of my daughter Kelly. We work with the Alliance for Lupus Research because that is the only group I know of where 100% of the money raised goes toward research. For instance, the Lupus Foundation, they have lots of overhead and they have lots of other information that they give out and work with, so therefore, not all of the money goes toward research. Right. With the Kelly Fund, we actually give our funds to ALR because of the money they have for research, and we also have money to educate the community because we believe that education is key, especially for the minority community. A lot of people don't know what lupus is. So often young people, especially young women, especially young African-American women, let's say you go off to college, you're having fun, and you say, well, I'm tired because I'm partying every night. You say, I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm still cute, so it's no big deal. But then you get this rash across your nose that almost looks like a butterfly. And then you go, oh my God, I think my hair is falling out. But maybe it's from the weave. So it's still no big deal. But then you really start to feel sick and you wonder, oh, well, what's happening? Well, that's what basically happened to my daughter Kelly in 2003 when she was away in college. So her roommate called me and said, Kelly is sick. So being a Southern mom that I am, I said, put some Vaseline on her face and she'll be fine. But she did come home and she was diagnosed with lupus. Lupus is not something that you can get with one diagnosis. It can't be diagnosed just with a test. It's usually a combination of lots of things. Some of the symptoms include swollen glands, swollen muscles. You may oftentimes get the rash. You may have your hair fall out, fatigue. It can affect lots of organs in the body. It's an autoimmune disease. For instance, if you got a cold, you'd start to feel better. Well, lupus doesn't allow you to have the antibodies that can fight the infection that may
to
start.
Make you feel better.
Yes. Instead, the body starts to attack itself, and that cold may turn to flu, which may turn to pneumonia, which may land you in the hospital, and you may become really ill. Kelly was diagnosed in 2003, but later she did okay for a while, but once you have lupus, it's not something that goes away. It's a chronic disease. So for Kelly, lupus was there. She did okay. She went back to school. She graduated with honors. She got married. She started to have a life. And then lupus attacked her brain. One night she wasn't feeling well. She went in the hospital. Overnight she fell in a coma. She was in a coma for 52 days. It had attacked every organ of her body. The doctor said she wouldn't make it. The doctors literally said, we asked for doctors whom we knew who were family members, and they said, she's not going to make it. Her heart, her lungs, everything is breaking down. If we remove part of her brain, she wouldn't be the Kelly you once knew. She was on life support, and they said, you need to take her off life support. And a doctor comes up to you and says, your daughter is going to die. I mean, what do? You say, well, for one thing, I said, God, you have to take my life, don't take hers.
Right.
But I guess God listened and said, no, you both can stay around. We literally asked people around the world to pray for her. And she opened her eyes. It was 2 years before she could talk and walk and become the kind of Kelly that we once remembered, but she came out of it.
So after being in a coma for 52 days.
For 52 days.
And then you're at the point of where everybody wants you to move on and kind of like pull the plug and go from there. You say no.
Well, legally, I wasn't even the one who could say no, because by this time she was married. But her husband said, I'm going to hold her hand, I'm not going to leave her side, and we're not going to disconnect.
So let me ask you the question. So you're a mom. You're also working on air during this time, right? How are we managing being mom, working on the air, and going through this intense struggle and keeping that beautiful face that gives us the news every day?
I only lost it twice. Once was during a commercial, and no one had really done anything, but I do remember saying, and we stand up, we stood up during the newscast, and I do remember, standing up, and we'd gone to a commercial, and someone said something, and I said, you didn't, and I started to yell, and they never have heard me yell, ever.
Right.
And I just yelled, and I said, I am so sorry. But no one said a word, because everyone knew what was going on, and they understood. And then the floor manager just came over and said, are you okay? And can I get you something? And I went, I'm okay, thanks. And I went on.
You said lost it. I thought like tears, but you said just yelling. Okay.
And the other thing is, I did a talk show, and I had not, unlike you who are very good and well-schooled in what you're talking about, I had not gone over the script and the people we were going to be talking to for the first segment. And so I introduced the guests, and I said, so today's subject, and what are you going to be telling us about? And they said, well, I want to talk to you about being a member of a support group when you have someone sick in the hospital. And the tears just started to roll. And I couldn't go on. And I said, we have to stop taping for a moment. I need some makeup.
And that's how you got out of that.
So then they said, just a moment. And then makeup came out, and they said, I said, I'll be fine. Just get me some makeup. And then I apologized to the guest. And I said, I too am going through something right now. And then after I got makeup, and the producer is saying in my ear, are you okay? And I said, yes. I said, I apologize for not having gone over the script. And we moved on.
Wow. So out of this experience transcends into a book.
Yes. But also the one thing that not only a book, but also sort of a talking tour and the book. And the one thing that I told people, I said, I learned so much about faith, because there were days that, and my days consisted of, I'd go to work. After work, I went up to the hospital. Then I would then I would go home, shower, dress, and go back to work. And so I was at the hospital the whole time. And the doctors even said later, there were private duty nurses and so forth, but he had even said later, had not someone been with her 24/7, we don't know if the outcome would have been the same. That was there. But the days that I would shower, dress, and go to work, there were days that my feet would just stand in one place, and I would put my hand on the door and say, I don't think I can do this. God, I cannot do this. And faith just pushed me forward. And that is what I would tell people when I talk to them. And yes, and out of that did come the book.
So give us a little bit about A Mom's Story.
Well, A Mom's Story is, believe it or not, there are only 2 pages about lupus.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is pictures that I took around the country, and the rest is just positive tweets. I'm on Twitter, and I tweet every day and give a status update. And so I just put the status updates and the tweets in the book. So it's everything that's like a couple of lines along with the pictures. And something that like a 7-year-old can read as well as a grown-up. And one page, for instance, just says, God's got it. And that's sort of the theme of the book. It says things like, don't overthink the decision you just made, the task you just completed, the prayer you just prayed. Once you shut the book, keep it closed, turn it over, done is done. Thank God. You know, things like that. But we sell the book, and all the proceeds go to, 100% of the proceeds go to research for finding a cure.
So you sell the book, it goes for research. So give us so now there got to be some things that you're doing now in terms of working and doing some promotion for this. So let us know what's going on now.
Well, September 17th.
September, okay, right around the corner.
The Alliance for Lupus Research is going to the Multicultural Outreach, which is the part of the group that I get to chair for now, and is holding an inaugural honoree breakfast and at the Museum of Art and Design, 2 Columbus Circle in Manhattan, and of course it's a fundraising effort.
Right.
And just to raise money and raise awareness. So hopefully everybody can come. The individual tickets are as low as $250 to $500, but of course there are those wonderful corporate tickets, you know, that run a few thousand. But hopefully everyone can come, and it's perhaps a swan song for me, and that I'm going to.
What you doing now? What you doing now? What are you doing now?
Leave the area.
Leaving?
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you going?
Down south, maybe.
Where down
but
south?
I'm not gonna, I'm gonna be coming back and forth, but to Nashville.
Okay. So will you be working in Nashville, or what's going to be the plan actually down in Nashville?
God only knows.
Okay. Okay. It's just a transition down south.
Transition down south.
Well, let me ask this question. You've only been self-removed from the news for about a month now. How much do you miss the day-to-day grind of reading and scripts and this and that, the cameras and all? How much do you miss it?
Not at all.
Not at all?
How can someone say that?
Yeah, 23 years later.
Because it's even more than 23 years. I mean, since high school. And again, you're talking earlier about how things have changed. In the New York market, of course, there are people who do camera, there are people. When I started out in television, I did everything. If I went out on a story, I took my own camera, the tape recorder, I did it all. And so for decades, I've had someone tell me how I look, what to wear, how to talk, how to sit. I've lived my life on a time clock, or basically a stopwatch of you have to get up at this hour unless news breaks, and we know every day just about news breaks. We need you in now, and this is what's going on. Or you could be sitting at your desk and come out to the studio now, this is what's going on, and this is how you have to dress, this is how you have to talk, you need to be here now. Someone else running my life for me for all of my life, and of course all of my daughter's life, and I just want to have a life for a little while.
So that says I'm going to make this transition. So what advice do you give people who are trying to enter the business today? Because you got a lot of people who say, listen, I see her, I watch her, I love to be who she is and do what she does. What advice do you give to young people who want to enter the business?
Don't let anyone take away your dream. If that is your dream, do it. Don't be discouraged, and model your dream the way you want it to be. And there are lots of people out there who will say, "This, you can't do that, and you can't do it in this way." But just learn from them. Learn from them all. But don't let anyone take away your dream.
Okay. Greatest assignment in all your career, what would you say would be?
I don't know that I can call it greatest, but
Most
covering
memorable.
9/11 changed my life for a long time because of the people I came to know and how it impacted my life for many years, because I got a chance to not only cover the event and be a part of the event, but know some people who went through the event and their pain and help them transition through the pain. So, and of course it changed this area, and it changed all of us in the way we do things.
Right.
So that was the biggest impact.
What would
And
you
of
say-
course covering the inauguration.
Right.
And that was the first time I got a chance to do an editorial the way I wanted to do an editorial, because I got a chance to talk about the president being on those same Capitol steps that my ancestors slaved to build.
Worst assignment, worst day of journalism for you?
Worst. I don't think I've had worst.
Just bad days at the office?
Challenging days at the office.
Challenging days at the office. That's
Yes.
it. Well, certainly we want to thank you for coming through and sharing with us and sharing about your story. So, once again, September 17th is a big day.
September 17th is a big day.
Okay, and we want people to come out to the Museum
Of Art and Design to Columbus Circle, but you have to call the ALR office first and get tickets.
Okay, and there you can come on out, and there you can support a very worthwhile cause, and you'll see Brenda there, and then you're making your transition down to Nashville, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and then you see the book, A Mom's Story, and if people want to get a copy of the book, how do they do that?
Just go onto the website.
It's right there on the screen, so you can get it right there. You can get onto the website. What else?
Yes, I can't believe I forgot the name of
You know, what is your own website? Sometimes
the
it's hard to
Kelly Fund for Lupus.org.
Okay. The KellyFundForLupus.org is where you can go ahead and find out more information, get a copy of the book, and at the same time, you'll also be supporting lupus and the Kelly Fund as well. Brenda, thank you so much
Thank
for coming.
you so much.
And congratulations. It's an honor to have you with us.
Oh, the honor's all mine. I love BronxNet.
You got to come back.
Definitely.
Hey, you got to teach some of our, we got to teach some of our people
I'd
here.
love to.
All right, we got that. See, done deal, just like that. That's how we do deals here on the show. We just do it just quick, boop, right here. We get it done. She'll be back sometime soon. Ms. Brenda
You're
Blackman.
great.
Thank you. I try to do my job. Ms. Brenda Blackman, our guest here in studio. And yes, that wraps up another edition of Perspectives. We want to thank you for joining us. And of course, if you want to find out more information about the show, what do you have to do? All you got to do is go to the website, www.bronxnet.org. You can hit us up on Facebook. All you got to do is go to BronxNet Perspectives. Check us out on Twitter, the social networking sites. And there you can find out about what's coming up on the show, past episodes of the show. You can also give us an opportunity to, just tell us what you like and what you dislike. But most of all, the main thing we're looking for you to do is what we do, share our perspective. For all of us here on the Set of Perspectives, I'm Darren Jaime. Until next time we meet, stay safe and God bless.
Live with a human for a while, and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she does strange tricks for no treats. But the one thing I will never, for the life of me, know is how she gets so